Okay, today we are going to be solving two-steps equations. We're going to go over a few harder problems than we did yesterday. Let's go ahead and get started. To review, remember here are the steps. Step number 1, identify the side with the variable. It's over here. And draw your line down your equal sign. Step number 2, identify the operations that are going on. If I were to read this, I would say -4 times x, so I have multiplication, plus 2, so I have also addition, equals 22. Remember, the third step is to identify the inverse operation. So the opposite of multiplication is division, and the opposite of addition is subtraction. Remember to not always start with whatever comes first. Remember, we are doing the order of operations backwards. So grouping, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. We call that SAD-MEG. We are going to do our operations backwards. So we're going to start down here at the bottom level. So any addition and subtraction that I need to undo. And I have this addition. Now, please don't fall into the trap of thinking that this is saying -4. Hey, remember, there's nothing I'm not subtracting it from anything because there's nothing in front. So that's just part of the x. Okay, so in order to get rid of this +2, I'm going to use my inverse operation. Underneath the +2, I'm going to write -2, and I'm going to remember to make sure that this scale stays equal. On the left-hand side, I wrote -2, so on the right-hand side, I'm going to -2. Equals, what's left over? There's my totaling line, -4x equals, because this zeroes out, 20. 22 minus 2 is 20. Okay, next step. So I took care of getting rid of the addition and subtraction. Let's get rid of the multiplication with division. Since this is multiplication, I'm going to divide. Since I am multiplying by -4, I'm going to divide by -4. Dividing by -4 gives me x equals -5. So that's our review. That's the stuff that we've been working on. Well, what do I do for this problem? Now you might say, oh, the same thing. Draw your line, identify the operations, and you might say, well, there's subtraction and multiplication. Well, I want to challenge you on that. Remember, when the variable does not come first, it's kind of like a trick question, and I'm going to encourage you to rewrite it as, okay, split your two terms apart. The 9 is going to stay positive, and then the 2x is going to stay negative. So -2x, +9 equals 5. I can now see that I don't have subtraction. I actually have addition, and I have multiplication of a negative number. Now, if you can recognize that from this state, you don't need to rewrite it, but that's just a good check to rewrite it. So let's draw our equal sign, and I'm going to do my inverse operation. So the opposite of addition, and remember I always start with addition and subtraction first. We're doing the opposite of order operations. So -9 from both sides. Bring down my totaling sign. That zeroes out on the left, and I just have -2x equals 5 minus 9 is -4. Bring down my equal sign. Divided by -2, since I'm undoing multiplication with subtraction. I'm going to undo with division, and I get x is equal to, what is -4 divided by -2? I get +2. Now, to demonstrate without rewriting it, I'm going to recognize that this is a +9, so I need to subtract in order to zero out. If I add 9, I'm going to get 18, which I don't want. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. That zeroes out. I get -2x minus equals -4. And now I'm at the same point as I was in my last problem. So no, I don't have to rewrite it, but it helps me identify which operations I'm going to use. Okay, so try this next one on your own. All right, go ahead and try this next problem on your own. Pause, and when you're ready, go ahead and press play. Okay, here we go. I'm going to draw my equal sign. Remember, it's kind of a trick question when the variable comes second. So I'm going to rewrite it as 5x minus 3 equals 12. Okay, the 3 stays negative and the 5 stays positive. Draw my line, and now I identify the operations, subtraction and multiplication. To undo the subtraction, I'm going to use addition. So plus 3 on both sides. This zeroes out, and I have 5x is equal to 15 divided by 5 divided by 5, because I undo multiplication with division, and I get x is equal to 3. Now, do I have to rewrite it like I did on the last problem? Nope. If I can identify that this is a negative, and in order to zero it out, I need to add, I can just go straight from there. So add, that zeroes out, and I get 5x equals 15, and I'm back to this point right here. And I'll get my final answer of x equals 3. Hey, let's try this one together. So on this problem, let's identify the operations. Well, the variable comes first, so I don't need to worry about rewriting it. My operations are division and subtraction. Which one should I do first? Remember, I'm doing order of operations first, backwards. So I'm going to do subtraction and then the division. I'm going to get rid of the subtraction with addition, and I'm going to get rid of the division with multiplication. So here we go. How do I undo the subtraction? I'm going to use addition. So I'm going to add 1 to each side. I get x divided by 2 is equal to 5. And last but not least, I'm going to times by 2 because I need to undo my division. So timesing by 2 eliminates, leaving me an x. 5 times 2 is 10, and that's my final answer. Now this next problem is one that you need to watch out for. It also has subtraction and division like the last problem. In fact, it looks almost the same, except for on this problem, the 2 is underneath the x minus 1, and on this previous problem, the 2 is only underneath x. That means, remember back to our lesson on order of operations, the fraction bar acts as a grouping symbol, and there are brackets around the x minus 1. That means the minus 1 is trapped inside those brackets until I can get rid of them. Remember, my first step should always be to get rid of the parentheses. So I am going to do my order of operations backwards. Remember, here are my order of operations. Now you might say, well, let's get rid of the subtraction first. Well, remember, it's trapped by my grouping symbol, and grouping symbols should come last. So I'm going to skip over subtraction. I'm going to skip it for a minute and do multiplication and division. Is there any multiplying and dividing? Yeah, we identified division. We divided by 2. So to undo it, we are going to multiply by 2. So here we go. Timesing by 2. Timesing by 2 on both sides of my equal sign. I forgot to draw that bar in there. Here we go with the bar. And what happens? Timesing by 2 and dividing by 2 eliminates. And I'm left with 4 times 2, which is 8. Because I no longer have any division or anything outside of those parentheses, they are now gone. Okay, I can now deal with that minus 1. So I'm going to go back down to my addition and subtraction and solve. So the opposite of minusing 1 is to add 1. So on both sides of my equation, I'm going to add 1, which gives me x is equal to 9. Your turn. Okay. Take a second, ask yourself the question before you solve it. Should you undo the plus 3 or the dividing by 4 first? Pause, and when you're ready to check your answer, press play. Okay, so let's answer that first question. Should you undo the plus 3 or the divide by 4 first? Well, remember that the plus 3 is, and I'm going to change colors really quick. The plus 3 is trapped by my fraction bar's imaginary parentheses. So I need to get rid of the divide by 4 first. To undo that, I'm going to multiply by 4 on the left. Draw my line for my equal sign and multiply by 4 on the right. And I am left with the 4's canceling. X plus 3 is equal to 12 times 4, which is 48. Now that there is nothing outside of the parentheses, I can erase them. And now I can focus what was inside. Now I can focus on getting rid of the plus 3. To do the opposite, I'm going to minus 3, which gives me that 0, and x is equal to 48 minus 3 is 45. Okay, so let's do another check. On this problem, we have 7 equals x divided by 5 minus 1. Should you undo the minus 1 or the divide by 5 first? How do you know? Pause, try this question, and when you're ready, go ahead and press play. Okay, which one should we get rid of first? We are going to get rid of the minus 1 first. And why are we doing that? Well, is that minus 1 trapped in parentheses? No, it is not. Only the x is inside those imaginary parentheses. So we're going to get rid of the minus 1 first. We're going to draw our equal sign. How do I get rid of the minus 1? I'm going to add 1. 7 plus 1 is 8. And I'm left with, on the side, x divided by 5, and this zeroes out. How do I get rid of dividing by 5? I'm going to multiply by 5. I'm going to do that on both sides. That eliminates, and I'm left with 40 equals x. That's the end of the video. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, and good luck on your assignment.